Hey, I'm Court McCutcheon. I'm the principal at Texas Select Insurance Group here in San Angelo. We quote commercial insurance every single day, and number one question we get from business owners is usually the same. How much does it cost? And our answer is always, it depends, right? I know that's not the answer that people want, but in the next few minutes, I'm going to make that answer actually useful to you. I'm going to walk you through the main things that drive the cost of business insurance using real Texas examples, so that you can budget smarter and avoid buying a policy that looks cheap now but hurts you later. Because the real pain that I see isn't people paying too much. It's people thinking that they're covered and then finding out when something actually happens that they're not. By this video, you'll understand what actually moves the needle on pricing and how to think about insurance the same way we do when we quote the policies every day. So let's start with why it depends. It's not a dodge, right? Insurance pricing is based on risk, and every business has a different risk profile. If you're a one-man contractor with no employees and a pickup truck, your risk looks completely different than someone who owns a strip center with 7 tenants. Same industry, completely different exposure. When people hear insurance, they think there's a menu somewhere with fixed prices. That's just not how it works. Insurance carriers look at a combination of factors, and they price based on how likely it is that they'll have to pay a claim. And how big will that claim be? That's the lens that everything flows through in insurance. So that's a place to start. So there's a lot of variables, but most pricing comes down to 4 big buckets. It's what you're insuring. Well, this one's obvious, but it matters more than people realize. Are we insuring a building? Maybe some equipment? What about your vehicles? Or is it just straight up general liability? So a contractor with tools in the back of a truck is very different than a restaurant with a full kitchen, grease traps, and foot traffic all day long. If there's more stuff to replace or more opportunity for something to go wrong, price goes up. That's not the punishment, it's the math. So revenue, why does that matter? Like, why does my revenue matter? That's a question we get a lot. Well, revenue matters because it's a proxy for activity, right? More revenue usually means more jobs, more customers, more exposure, and a $300,000 a year contractor and a $3 million a year contractor might do the exact same type of work. But one of them is swinging the bat a lot more often, right? So more swings equals more chances to get hit. That doesn't mean growing is bad. It just means that your insurance should grow with you instead of lagging behind. So let's talk about Texas and why Texas specifically has the rates that we do. This is where we show up big, right? Everything's bigger in Texas. We get hail, big hail, golf ball, baseball, sometimes softball size hail. Because of that, Texas has some of the highest property rates in the country. If you own property here, wind and hail deductibles are almost always a big factor. Most of the time, they're percentage deductibles. So if your building costs $1 million to replace and you have a 5% wind and hail deductible, well, you're on the hook for $50,000 before insurance kicks in. That surprises a lot of people. That's why price comparisons without understanding deductibles are meaningless. So your deductibles and coverage choices, this is really where people accidentally save money in the wrong place. Lower premiums usually mean higher deductibles and narrower coverage and more exclusions. So there are typically 2 deductibles on property policies. That first deductible is wind and hail. The second one, all other perils, right? So everything else. Wind and hail is the big one in Texas. All other perils covers things like fire, theft, or water damage, just anything else. Fire claims are usually catastrophic, but pretty rare, right? Hail claims are common, so carriers price that accordingly. So this is where we slow people down and make sure they understand what they're actually agreeing to. Is cheap now, the option really you have is cheap now versus expensive later, right? One thing we all say all the time here is there's never a problem until there's a problem. A cheap policy works great until you need it. You can carry a certificate of insurance, satisfy a contract, and feel good about saving money, but there's an exclusion you didn't understand or a deductible you can't afford. That savings just disappeared real fast, guys. The real cost of insurance isn't what you pay today, it's what you pay later when something goes wrong. So why can't I just go online and do this in commercial insurance? Man, we get that question a lot. A lot of people ask if they should just do this and shop it themselves, and you can. But here's the reality, right? Here's what you're missing. Online systems don't know which carriers actually pay claims well, what markets are tightening and what are loosening, what exclusions matter in your industry. They give you a price, not context. We see policies all the time that look fine on paper, but they fall apart when the rubber meets the road. Our job just isn't to get you a quote, it's to know what's behind the curtain. How do I think about budgeting for insurance? Insurance should be a line item in your business budget from day one, and it protects a lot of things. Number one is your revenue, right? And your assets, the things that you work hard for, and your buildings and things like that. Your ability to stay in business after a loss. If you plan for it, it's manageable. If you ignore it, it's painful. As your business grows, your coverage should evolve with it. So that includes things like loss of revenue, which can literally keep your doors open if a covered loss shuts you down. So what do we do differently? At Texas Select, our focus isn't just selling the cheapest policy. A lot of times we actually find the best value. So for your specific situation, what does that mean? It means if we can understand your business and know which carriers fit your risk, customizing coverage instead of forcing a template, that's why pricing depends. And that's also why doing it right saves you time. That means understanding your business, knowing which carriers fit your risk, customizing your coverage instead of just forcing a template. And that's why pricing depends, right? Like we just talked about, it depends. And that's also why us doing it right saves you time and money in the long run. So if you're a business owner and you've ever been confused by insurance pricing, that's normal. This stuff isn't intuitive. If you've got questions or want us to break down your specific situation, that's what we do all day, every day at Texas Select. So drop a question in the comments or reach out to us directly. We're happy to help you make sense of it before it becomes a problem.